Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is Mr. Peter Moriarty. I'll brief you on Peter. He started in IT consulting at just the age of 15, where he had a backpack and a push bike in rural Sydney, a bit like me. Since then, he's pursued his passion for technology in growing IT Genius Australia into a full-time IT consultancy servicing business that services up to 200 employees across Australia and indeed beyond. Peter is regarded as an expert in small business cloud computing, and he's been ranked as one of Australia's top 10 entrepreneurs under 30 by Smart Company and Australian Anthill Publications. Peter's philosophy of technology is to keep it simple, which I think you and I will both agree is a fantastic philosophy when it comes to technology, because I'm hopeless. And he lives by the Einstein's quote, "Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex and more violent. But it takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction." Peter's company has also been recognised as being one of the top 5 business partners of Google in the Asia Pacific region. It's an absolute pleasure, an honour and a privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first speaker of this afternoon's proceedings, Mr. Peter Moriarty.
All right, how are we doing, guys? We doing good? Awesome, cool. Before we start out, I'd like to get a bit of an idea of who we've got in the crowd here. So if you're a business owner, put your hand up. Wow, most of the business owners, awesome. If you're working for the man, put your hand up. We've got a few people cool. Who are the drifters? Any entrepreneurs? Got some young people at the back, shout out. Yeah, awesome, cool. Thanks for having me here, guys. I've got 30 glorious minutes with you, and I understand that you're giving me your time to be here, so I'm going to promise you that in this 30 minutes, I'm going to give you actionable results that will allow you to save 30 minutes per day for every day from now on. Does that sound okay? Yeah, sound like good exchange? Awesome, cool. So I'm a bit of a tech geek, and I love tech stuff, but I also want to help business owners make tech stuff simple. So my dad is a baby boomer, he is a builder, he's not really the most techo guy, and I've seen him kind of like, look at technology as this enemy, and I'm getting a bit of feedback, guys. I might go down a little bit on the mic. So I've seen my dad kind of see technology as a bit of an enemy, and he sees this computer thing, and it's kind of like he's fighting against it. And my passion is, well, how can we help entrepreneurs, and how can we help business owners, and how can I help people like my old man view technology as a tool to actually drive our business forward, to drive our lives forward, and to make our lives easier. Does that sound like a good goal? Yeah, that's what we do. So that's what we help with. So this is actually our mission. We help ambitious businesses leverage cloud technology to enable freedom. And freedom can mean a lot of different things to different people. Freedom might mean you working from home and doing a school run in the afternoons. Freedom might mean you get to travel a little bit more. I love to travel. I go overseas 4 times a year. Technology helps me make that happen. Freedom to you might mean making some more money in the business, so you've got more opportunities and more excitement in your life and whatever you'd like to do with that. So that's what we're about, and what I'm going to pass on to you today is our secrets to getting a little bit more productivity every day through better management of your inbox. Because who spends a lot of time in their inbox all day long? Most people? Yeah, most people. Who gets to the end of the day sometimes and goes, where did all my time go today? Yeah, exactly. So we can spend sometimes, now the average business owner can spend up to 3 to 4 hours per day in and out of our inbox. So that's what we specifically help business owners with. We help business owners get control of their inbox, get more time back, and therefore enable freedom. So let's talk about how we do that. So this is my team. We're based in Crow's Nest, so we're just north of the bridge, and we've got an international team as well who are kind of dotted all over the place. And we're a Google partner. And what we do is we help put Google technology into small businesses. So who's used Gmail before? Beautiful, cool. So we help put Gmail, Google Docs, Google Drive into small businesses. Who's using Outlook right now? You're dead to me, just kidding. What we do is we help business owners who are on Outlook or MacMail or whatever you're using right now get onto the Google for Business platform, and help them get more control over their life and help them save time and grow their business using this great technology. So Google Apps for Work is the ecosystem. You pay Google your $5 a month and you get access to it. But what it enables you to do is run your business from anywhere, from any device, and get work done on your terms. So who's heard about hiring VAs or maybe hiring a remote team out of the Philippines or somewhere like that? Anyone doing that? Keep your hand up. A couple of people? Cool. So that's what this technology allows you to do. It removes the kind of old way of doing IT with servers and being chained to the office. And, you know, we had one of our clients who couldn't access his emails from out of the office, so he was driving to the office every day. That's what this technology does. So what Google Apps for Work gives you is, instead of peter123@gmail.com, I get peter@itgenius.com in my email inbox, in the Gmail interface. So that's what the business version of Gmail means. So if you're on Google Personal right now, moving to Google for Work is what will help you get access to these tools. So let's talk a little bit about the new way of doing IT. So who's got like servers ticking away under desks in the office? A couple of people, yeah. So that's kind of like the old way of doing IT. Who's running Xero for their accounts? Most people here. Awesome, cool. So Xero was one of the first applications that came out that made us really rethink how we do technology. It's online, it's in the browser, we can access it from anywhere. It doesn't matter if we're at home or at the office. Our accountant can log in as well. Our bank feeds get downloaded automatically. And this has really opened people's eyes to, oh wow, there's this thing called cloud. And, you know, what is this thing called cloud? Using Xero Online is the cloud. That's the start. And the rest of the Google ecosystem helps us take away from the old way of doing IT, which is servers, networks, stuff ticking away under the desk, remote desktop VPNs, all that kind of crap. Now, all of these companies run their business emails through Google, which is pretty crazy. Woolworths moved 35,000 employees to Gmail. Fortescue Metals Group, big mining company, all of them running on Gmail. New South Wales Department of Education and Training, 3 million mailboxes for teachers and students, all running through Gmail and Google Apps. That's pretty crazy. So let's get into it. What's the problem with email? Who remembers when they got their first email address? Wasn't it exciting? So for me, it was probably mid to late 90s. I was still in school at that stage. And I got an @hotmail.com address, and my friends would send me emails, and it was great, except every time I got 100 or so emails, it would fill up, and then my friends would start getting bounce backs. Remember that? And if someone sent you a big attachment, like, you know, a video file or something like that, and you wait for it to download, to go down the screen on dial-up. But if they sent too many of those, your mailbox would fill up as well, right? So email as a protocol, as a thing, hasn't really evolved since then. There have been some things that have kind of been changed a little bit to kind of help us with that. Our mailbox sizes got bigger. Great, in 20 years' time, we've got bigger mailboxes. Cool. That's the equivalent of the post box sitting out the side of their house just being a little bit bigger. So we can get more mail every day. Cool, great. So here's a little look at how different email platforms differ and why we have this problem with email. So our original emails, we'd get like a 5 megabyte mailbox, right? Then came along Outlook, and Microsoft brought out Microsoft Exchange, or Office 365, they're now kind of calling it, which is their kind of semi-server-based or hybrid cloud-based solution. And that works up until about 5 or 10 gigabytes worth of email, right? So up until you've got about 5,000 odd emails sitting in your inbox. And what happens then is Outlook starts to slow down. The search stops working. When you go to open it, every now and again it crashes, you know, restart the computer again. Oh, Mac Mail's running slow today. So what do we do to combat this? We've got hundreds and hundreds of emails coming in every day. It's kind of like a fire hose pointing at your face. And so we've got these hundreds of emails coming into our inbox every day. So what do? We take the important ones and we file them into folders. We put all our important emails in folders, and then we try desperately to delete all of the other ones, because we've got to keep our mailbox nice and trim, because part of us doesn't want Outlook to crash anymore, and the other part of us is still in the mentality that we've got that 5 megabyte mailbox, so we don't want people to get bounce backs in case it gets full. So we're constantly trying to like keep this nice and tidy and clean and organized. But the problem with that is it's still kind of like having a filing cabinet and having a really good filing system in that filing cabinet when there's technology like Google search out there, right? So that's the problem with email. Let's talk about the solution and how that's different. So Gmail and Google Apps, obviously the hard work is being done in the browser. The hard work is being done with Google servers and their network of servers all over the world, and that's doing the heavy lifting instead of your local machine, which is pretty cool. So what that means is with the thousands and thousands of emails that we're receiving each month, and as a business owner, we get smashed by emails, right? We get newsletters, we meet someone at a marketing event, they put you on their networking list, and all of a sudden you're getting their marketing messages and their emails and alerts and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and it's just smashing you. And so, what do we do with all of these? We either try and delete them, or we're trying to do the filing thing, and it doesn't really work. So let's talk about what we can do with like Gmail and how that works in a business. So let's have a look at my Gmail inbox. This is going to be a practical presentation. Are you guys okay with that? Cool, awesome, all right, cool. So get your pen and papers ready in a little bit, right? Not just in a second, but in a little bit, I'm gonna get you to get your pen and papers ready. So let's have a look at Gmail. So I wanna show you just how much email I've got sitting in my Gmail mailbox right now, because I haven't deleted anything in about 8 years, right? I've just let it all flow in. I've left it there for about 8 years. So you can see here, I've got about 21 gigabytes of email sitting in my mailbox. And you go, oh, okay, yeah, Pete, that's all right. That's a few. How much is a gigabyte again? How many megabytes is that? I'm not sure. All right, let's look at my all mail folder, which is my archive folder. Boom, 200,000 emails in my Gmail mailbox. But if I want to run a search, let's search for like something way back in 2011, which would normally make our Outlook crash. Bang, search comes up instantly. So that's the power of Google search running right there in my inbox. Now that changes the game, because that means for us as business owners, all of a sudden, we don't need to spend 15 minutes, half an hour a day, either filing stuff into folders or trying to delete the stuff that's not too important. Anything that comes through we don't need anymore, we can send it to that archive. Anything we need to get back, we can always search. But our machine isn't doing the heavy lifting, so it's not going to be slowing down. So right now, and I want you all to be honest, who's got more than 100 emails in their inbox right now? Wow, okay, that's a bad start. That's not good. Okay. Who's got more than 1,000? Hand up. All right, cool. We've got a few. Who's got more than 10,000 in their inbox right now? Okay, you need some help. Sorry to say you need some help. Okay, so what can we do about it? Let's talk about the 7 steps to getting to inbox zero every day. So number 1, bleeping email. Now, who's ever gone out for dinner with someone, and when their phone beeps, they're checking their email at the table there? Who's had that happen? Isn't that rude? It's kind of weird as well. It's like, oh, I just got a purchase order. I just check that. What, while you're waiting for dinner? Like, do you need to? So, like, we're in this kind of like ADD world of, the email comes into our inbox and an Outlook beeps or MacMail beeps or whatever, and we're like, oh, I'm going to jump in and see what it is because it might be important. And that's kind of the equivalent of like camping out next to your letterbox every day, just waiting for letters. Oh, there might be something important in there. There could be a bill that needs to be paid. So, that's like just kind of fundamentally flawed, because not only is it kind of wasting our time because we're, half doing email and half not doing email all day, but it means that we can never kind of chunk our time and be really present in the other important tasks that we need to get done. So we're missing out on that. So it's really important, step number 1, is that we switch off all of our notifications. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If your phone doesn't beep at you, you don't need to actually check it. If your computer isn't beeping at you and popping up when a new email comes in, you don't need to stop what you're doing and jump back into your email. Do you notice that like when that pop-up comes up, you get just a little bit of a dopamine hit? Because, oh, there's a new exciting email. Gotta go jump and check it. What is it? Oh, it says urgent in the subject line. Oh my God, it's important. This person's waiting for my reply. I've got to get in there. I want you to stop that. And I want you to time yourself and say, maybe just start easy. Maybe say 3 or 4 times a day at scheduled times, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to check my emails. I'm going to batch through and process them and work through them, but I'm not going to be crack addicted, let's stick in and out of there all day long, right? Because it's just not going to work. So, number 1, bleeping email. Switch off all your notifications. Phone, computer, everything, no more dings, it's gone. Everyone cool with that? Yeah, awesome, cool. If you want to do another cool little trick, is on your phone, if you want to go like totally productive mode, if you've got an iPhone, you can schedule do not disturb mode, and you know how like it doesn't light up or flash or anything? Messages still come through, but it just won't flash. Schedule do not disturb mode, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. That'll change your life. That'll change your life. More time with the family, you'll be present with your partner, you'll be present when you're cooking dinner or reading a book or whatever else you like to do of an evening. Try that out. Anyway, next up, number 2, filter it out. So we get so many emails hitting our inbox, and a lot of these are crap, right? We're getting marketing newsletters, we're getting alerts, and not many of them are actually important. If we're getting 150, 200 emails a day, let's say maybe 20, maybe 30 if you're really important, of those are from real people and actually require a real actionable response. So I'm going to show you one little rule to filter emails out of your inbox that's going to save you about 20 to 30 or maybe even 50 emails a day from hitting your inbox. Let's do this. So I'm going to jump into my mail here, and I'm going to search for the words unsubscribe. A few light bulbs just went ding. Now look at this. Look how many emails a day I get. This is just today. I've nearly got 50 emails already, and it's only, what, just after 1. I've already got nearly 50 emails just today with the words unsubscribe in them. Now I know that if someone's sending me an email by hand, they're probably not going to put their unsubscribe link at the bottom, right? No. So what we're going to do is we're going to take every one of these emails that has the word unsubscribe, and we're going to create a rule, and you can do this if you're in Outlook land, I forgive you. You can do this in Outlook as well. But we're going to filter those, we're going to make them skip the inbox, and we're going to put them straight into one of our labels or one of our folders. So you'll see on my left-hand menu here, I've got this label called News, and that's got 42,000 unread emails in there, right? It's got a total of 80,000. That's how many have got unsubscribe in there. So I'm going to filter them all over to there, and then once a day, just once a day, I'm going to browse through my news folder and just skim it and see if there's anything important there. Because really I only need to check that once a day. If there's a newsletter that I like to read, or industry news, or maybe an alert or something like that, I might jump in there and I might check it out, but it's not something that I need to be in there checking and being bombarded with that. So who thinks that would save them like at least 10 or 20 emails a day? Get all the spam and crap out of there, great. Because what you really should have is just emails from real people that have actionable response. Email is kind of like the world's to-do list for you. And if there's like 300 things hitting your inbox every single day, it's just not even possible for us to manage that. And that's why we've got people here who have got 10,000 emails in their inbox. So let's talk about next step. Start from the bottom. So we're going to talk about the actual hands-on, how do I manage my inbox every day? And don't fear, if you're one of those people who've got 10,000 in there right now, I'm going to show you a way to get it down to 0 today. Well, you'll probably go home and do that, or you do it in a break. But I'm going to go through some of the methods that we do on a day-to-day basis on how to actually get through our email and get it down to 0 each day. So, key point, start from the bottom. Step number 3 is start from the bottom. Now, what that means is, when we open up our email in the morning, who wakes up and has a bit of inbox anxiety? Right? Who wakes up and checks their phone on their bedside table and checks their emails when they wake up? That's weird. That's weird. That's not cool. You should wake up and touch your partner, not your phone. That's not cool. All right, so the first thing we do when we open our inbox is we go to the top and we say, oh, what new exciting emails have come in this morning, right? And we start at number 1, or we might reply to it, or we might flick it off, or we might delete it, or we might put it in a folder, or you might open it up and go, ooh, I'll play with, touch that later, right? And you might get through 4 or 5, or maybe even 10, and then you get stuck halfway through an email, or maybe your phone rings, or you go and do something else, or it's time to cook breakfast or put your clothes on, like that lady. So we get through a few of our emails, and then we kind of leave it, right? So it's kind of like the email inbox triage is always half done. And what we want to stop is we want to stop it from getting half done. Because if you get halfway through the new emails that have come in, and the new ones are piling in at the top, it just kind of turns into a mess. And eventually we say, you know what? I'm just going to leave it, and I don't care. They're just going to pile up, and I'll just look for anything important that comes through at the start of the day. Who's in that mode right now? You're just over it, and it's completely out of control, and you're like, you know what? I don't care. If I miss it, they'll email me back. That's fine. Yeah. So that's where most people are. So I don't want you to do that. What we want to get you to a place is where you're super diligent with your emails. But the way to do that is we start from the bottom. We're going to start from the very oldest email in our inbox, and then we're going to work our way up to the top, up to the newest. Because that always means that we're never leaving any of those emails behind. And I'm going to help you guys with some of the steps on how we go through that triage as well. So, step number 4, triage and the 2-minute rule. This is super important. What we're going to do is when we're working through our inbox, we're starting at the bottom, we're working our way up, And remember, we've already filtered out all the newsletters and stuff, so it should only be, let's say 10 or 15 emails a day, hopefully, for the real people that are coming through. Now, we're starting from the bottom, we're working through our emails. Super, super important is the 2-minute rule. We're going to have a one-touch rule with our emails. We're going to open an email and say, can I deal with this in 2 minutes or less? Can I deal with this in 2 minutes or less? If we can, we're going to do it right now. We're going to email that person or forward it on to whoever we need to forward it to or delegate it or whatever needs to happen, but we're going to do it right now. And I'm not going to jump back into my inbox and check the next one and check the next exciting one and it'll pop up another one, right? You can see how we kind of get into this ADD email mode. We're going to look at the email and decide, can I deal with this in 2 minutes or less? If yes, we're going to do it now. If no, we're going to move it out of the inbox. I'm going to show you where we're going to put that in a second. So by triaging through our emails, we're starting at the bottom and we're triaging through. It means that even if we can't deal with every single email right now, we've at least categorized and we've triaged right through the inbox. And that's how we're going to get the inbox down to 0 each day. So what do we do with the emails that break the 2-minute rule? We're going to use action labels. I'm mixing up the order here. We're going to use action labels. So let me show you what action labels look like. So you would have noticed in my inbox, I've got a kind of special inbox here. Check this out. So I've got my main inbox down the bottom there. It's got 13 new emails in it. So a couple from yesterday are still there. And I've got my ones that have come through this morning. And then I've got some cool extra lists of emails up the top here. So they're my action labels. So this is a little setting in Gmail that you can enable called the multiple inboxes lab. And you can go and switch that on. So you'll see here that up the top, I've got a list of emails that require a call. That's my call list. And then I've got my action labels. So these are all of the emails that require a reply, but it's going to take me more than 2 minutes. So the reason we use these is if we're leaving our inboxes just like this big long to-do list for the rest of the world, there's no way of us having context of what do I need to do with these emails. The other problem is if we're just leaving emails kind of hanging around in our inbox, we've got the issue of we might miss something that's important because we're never actually fully triaging through each one of those emails. So we're going to use our action labels to move those emails out of the inbox. And then once we've got through the inbox, we've done our triage, we've got it down to 0, that's when we go back and we work through our action labels. So if I've got a bunch of phone calls to do, I'm going to batch those. I'm going to do them all in one hit. If I've got a bunch of emails that require a reply, I'm going to batch through and go through all of those. Now notice that in this reply folder, just wait for it to load, thinking. We don't have great internet down here. Now, the reply folder has got a few emails sitting in it that I've taken out of the inbox, I've put into my reply action label, but I still haven't dealt with them. And you might be thinking, well, hold on, Pete. How does that actually solve the problem? You've taken them out of your inbox, you put them somewhere else, but you still haven't dealt with them. Yeah, your inbox is 0, whatever, but your reply folder's got a bunch of them there. Now, the reason we put these in the reply folder is if I want to procrastinate on an email, or if it's low value, or I just don't have the time to reply to it, I want that out of my inbox because I don't want the mess in my in tray. I don't want to miss an important email, or potentially miss an important email, because I've got a whole bunch of non-important ones just kind of hanging around. So we'll see, hopefully we get our internet back. Let's see how we go. If not, I might try phone internet. Let's try power of the mobile. All right, we'll wait for that to come back. We're kind of in a cave here, so the internet's not fantastic. All right, cool. So next up is archive, don't delete. So I'm going to show you what this means. Now, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Albert Einstein, all wore exactly the same thing every single day. Steve Jobs, turtleneck, jeans, sneakers. Mark Zuckerberg, hoodie, t-shirt. Albert Einstein, 7 suits, exactly the same. Old school, cool. Now, the reason they did this is because they were so disciplined in not wasting their energy on low-value tasks that they didn't want to waste the thought process on what to wear each day. They literally did not even want to waste the brain power. So, when we're working through our emails and we're triaging, Google's got this really cool feature which is called Archive, which if you're on Gmail, you would have already noticed that. If you're on Outlook, here's my reply list, by the way, so that's my 13 emails that I'm procrastinating on and kind of leaving there. So when I've got an email in my inbox here, I've got one from Broderick, I've got a choice. I can archive or I can delete. Now, when I hit that archive button, the email is going to go into my all mail folder, right? That's going to go into that big mailbox with all of my emails. And I can always search for them, I can always get them back. But when I hit archive, it's gone out of the inbox. Now, when I hit delete, it's actually deleted, right? Like you would expect. Now, what we do, typically, when we're working with our Outlook, is we're making a decision with every single email that we look at, because we're still in 1990s mode. Email comes in, and we're deciding, do I file this in a folder, or do I delete this? Is this important, or is this not important? Do I keep this? What if they sue me in 3 years and I need it? Or what if they ask for the same price next year and I've got to dig up this email? I should probably file it in a folder, right? So we're wasting this decision every single time because we're do I file it in a folder or do I delete it? Well, I really should delete it, otherwise my mailbox would get too big and my search will stop working, right? There's all these problems kind of not working. So what I'm telling you is we are going to make it a rule that we always archive and we never delete. Once we've read an email, and it doesn't require an action, bang, we hit that archive button, it's out of our inbox, it's dealt with, and I can always bring it back via search. Always super easy for me to find it via search. So let's say, for example, you saw I could search for emails way back to 2011, that was nice and easy. Let's say, for example, I want to search for an email from one of my clients. So I'm going to just start typing Marshall's name, and look, Google's already suggested, okay, cool, I might be looking for an email from Marshall. But I remember that Belinda was also in that conversation, so let's get Belinda in there as well. So that's brought up 60 odd emails from me, Marshall, and Belinda. Okay, well, I know that it was about an invoice, so let's chuck in the keyword invoice. And there we go. So I brought up 9 conversations from my 200,000 email archive that are between myself, Marshall, include Belinda, and have the keyword invoice either in the email or the attachment. And this removes the need for me to ever save my emails into folders. It's just not needed anymore. So that means I can safely archive any of my emails that come through. So you would have noticed I don't have any labels or folders to put emails into apart from the news folder that's sitting there. It's just not needed. Who thinks that is potentially game-changing with how you're using your emails right now? That's pretty crazy, isn't it? That could be 30 to 45 minutes per day for you. And I hope it is, because I think it's pretty cool. So, archive, don't delete. Number 6, using action labels. We already went through that. Number 7, out of sight, out of mind. So, we already talked about how email is the world's to-do list for you. We want to change that. Think about your attention span as a jar of jelly beans. And you've got this big jar of jelly beans, that's your brain. That's all of your attention in one place. Now, when you send an email off to somebody and you need to get a response back from them, you might have sent off a proposal, you might be chasing up on an invoice, and you need to remind yourself, you know what, I've got to follow up on this person. That's a jelly bean that's out of your jar on that email. And until that person replies to you, that jelly bean's out of the jar. When they reply, you get the jelly bean back. It's back in your jar. So how do we deal with this? Right now, we send off an email to someone and we need to follow up in a couple of days. And what we might do is we might write it down in our diary 2 days forward. Or we might just leave the email sitting in our inbox to remind us to follow up. Or maybe we're dragging and dropping it onto our calendar, or maybe we're using a CRM, kind of half the time, kind of trying to type it in. But it's kind of a manual system. And if we're sending off 20, 30 emails a day, that can get a little bit cumbersome using those manual systems. So I'm going to show you a really cool plugin for Gmail, which will change how you do email follow-ups. So because Gmail is kind of an open platform, third-party developers can design and develop third-party applications that enhance the functionality of Gmail, which is pretty cool. So what that means is, in my Compose window, let's open up a new email here, and I'm going to send off an email to Matt Alderton. All right. Now, let's just say, for example, Matt's really slack at getting back to me on email. He's really slow, right? Everyone's got a client like that, right? Or something like that, and you're just I'm going to send this. I might get a response next month, hopefully, who knows. Now, Matt's great. I love Matt. He's always really quick to me on emails. But let's just say, for example, Matt's a bit slow at getting back to me, right? So let's send off our email. I'm going to set off my proposal. Please see attached my proposal. Want to see a cool Gmail trick? When I hit send, it says, wait, Peter, you said see attached in your message, but you didn't attach anything. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I like that one. All right, cool. But that's not the plugin. All right. So this is the plugin. It's called Yesware. Oh, let's just wait for it to reload. It's called Yesware. It's free. This will change your life. This is amazing. So write that one down. Yesware. Oh, it's kind of half off the screen there. Yesware. Yeah, that's the one. Cool. So when I'm sending an email off to Matt and I want to remind myself to follow up in a couple of days, I'm just going to hit this remind button. And I can choose when to set a smart reminder. So I can say, right, if Matt hasn't got back to me in 24 hours, or maybe a week's time, I want to remind myself to follow up. So let's say a week's time. Let's say, right, if Matt hasn't got back to me in a week, I want this follow-up reminder. And see this tick box up the top? It says, only if nobody replies. So only if Matt doesn't get back to me, am I going to get a reminder. So I click confirm, I set that reminder, and I send off my email to Matt. And then as soon as that email is sent, it's gone, out of sight, out of mind. Now, if Matt replies to me within a week, it's going to automatically cancel that reminder. However, if Matt hasn't got back to me in a week's time, it's going to pop that conversation back up into my inbox. So I can flick Matt another email and say, hey mate, what's going on? And then maybe set another reminder. Who thinks that is like game-changing for how you're working on your email? That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool. So that is my absolute one killer plugin that helps me to get so much more done out of my emails every day. Because it means that I'm not starring or flagging or putting stuff in a folder called follow-up or any of those kind of manual systems. I'm not writing in my diary. It's gone, and then only when it needs to be followed up does it get followed up. So that's great for proposals, sales prospects, chasing invoices, any of that kind of stuff. If maybe you're sending off a product to a client and you want to just do like a, kind of customer servicey follow-up in a month's time, I just untick that little box that said only if Matt replies, remind me, and that will remind me regardless. So I can say, right, in a month's time, just pop up a reminder regardless. And then automatically in a month's time, email will pop up and I can flick another email to the customer and say, hey, I sent this over to you a month ago. How'd it go? How's that product going? How's the service going? So Yesware is absolutely awesome at getting you super productive with emails. Do you guys want me to show you like one more killer trick with Gmail? Yeah? Awesome. All right. So who's ever written an email and then realized that you put the wrong thing in there and then you send it and it's like, oh my God, it's gone. And you try like, the retrieve messages, but it doesn't really work in Outlook and that kind of stuff. So let's send an email off to Matt. And let's say, Matt, I really don't like you all that much. Send. Oh my God, no, I didn't really want to send that to Matt. I have 30 seconds to undo sending the email and bring it back. Isn't that cool? It's back. I love you, Matt. We're giving Matt a hard time. I love you, Matt. You're a good guy. All right, cool. So, rock and roll, guys. Now, who wants to know how to get to inbox 0 today? Yes? Do you want the secret? Awesome, cool. So if you're on Outlook, I'm sorry to hear that. We can help. Let me know. Get in touch, itgenius.com. If you're in Gmail right now, go back through the last 2 weeks of your email. Go back to the last 2 weeks of your email and just star the important ones that you need to respond to or move them to your reply action label. And then you go select all, select everything, all 10,000, and archive them. Because remember, you can always search the archive, you can always bring those back, but you don't need to have them hanging around in the inbox if they don't actually require an action. Thanks very much, guys. So we've got time for like 2 or 3 questions because I've already been told my time's up. So have we got mic runners? One or two. I'll take 1 or 2 questions before we finish up. We've got one gentleman here in a blue shirt. Just yell it out.
Is Yesware, do they have subscription model after the free?
Yeah, so I think you can send like 100 reminders per month on the free plan, and I'm on the free plan. I paid for it for a year, and then I didn't bother with it after the first year. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Matt. He sent me an email back. One of the cool things you can do with Yesware is you can use this little templates. It's kind of half off the screen. But there's a little button here called templates, and I can create canned responses that I can just like automatically insert straight into emails. So for like customer service and stuff like that. So that's all part of the free plan though. So yeah, go grab Yesware. It's awesome. Check it out. There's team plans and whatnot, but we're just on the free plan. We get everything we need to do done with that. Thanks for the question though. Cool. All right, gentlemen over here. Yep.
Would you say you need a different setup? For example, can you do archiving well when you're using Outlook?
You can. However, if you're using Outlook or MacMail, what you miss out on is there's a bunch of really cool keyboard shortcuts, like basic keyboard shortcuts that make Gmail super fast. It was designed to be used without a mouse by the engineers at Google. So you miss out on that. Yesware just doesn't work with Outlook full stop. The labels and the multiple inboxes layout doesn't work with Outlook, full stop. So we will always say, like, give it a go using Gmail. Use the frameworks. Use the frameworks that we recommend, because that's one of the biggest pluses of making the jump and using Gmail for the business and getting all your staff on board and all that kind of stuff. Is that you can do all of these extra things that you just can't do in the other software. Thanks for the question, though. Cool. And this person here. Great question. We can help with that. You can chat to, you can get it set up yourself if you've got 3 days, an IT degree, and you don't mind a bit of stress in your life. Just kidding. Look, we would recommend getting an IT professional to set it up. We can help. That's what our company does. So if you need a hand, just reach out and we can have a chat about that. Cool. All right, guys, thank you very much. If you want to check us out, itgenius.com. We've got a free ebook with cloud apps and cloud productivity stuff. Got a YouTube channel with a bunch of videos there. So check me out on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. Thank you very much for having me. Cheers.
Absolute champion.
Thank you, man.
How was that? Excellent. It's a bit of feedback. Bit of feedback's good. That's outstanding. Guys, before we bring on our next, what was that thing that he said? You should wake up and you should be waking up and touching your partner. Was that it, Pete? Mate, I've been waking up alone a lot lately. Is there an app for that? Probably. It's too much. It's too much. What we will do is we do have some mic runners. I'll give somebody the opportunity to give themselves a bit of plug. You've been lovely. What's your name, sorry? You? Karen. Karen, you've been fantastic. You're laughing at all my terrible jokes. Can we get a microphone down to Karen? Start pre-framing it. Don't panic. It'll be okay. But basically the questions that I'm going to ask are introduce yourself, introduce the business that you either own and operate or work for, and also where you'd like to see that business get to or yourself over the forthcoming couple of years. I don't want to be too cliche and say 5. This is Karen here in the blue. Of course. A big round of applause for Karen.
You are funny. My name's Karen Dempsey. I am from 4 Networking. At 4 Networking, we just love to help small businesses play a bigger game. It's exciting to be here. We know Matt through 4 Networking, and so excited to see the game that he's really playing here at Be Exponential. 4 Networking, we run small business groups all throughout Sydney, and the idea of those groups is for small businesses to connect, to meet, like, and trust other people. And through doing that, you get business referrals, you get a community of support around you for small business owners, and you get to grow your business. For us, what I'd like to see us doing over the next 2-3 years, was it? We have great coverage throughout Sydney. We're just starting to impact in Melbourne, and we're really looking to do Brisbane as well. So we're really looking to be a national player in the networking framework.
Outstanding. Well, a round of applause for Karen. Karen, before you go, Matt's actually just released a brand new book, Business for Life. So as a token of my appreciation for both being here and contributing, enjoy the book. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for Karen.